Have you ever felt broken inside, like the weight of the world was on you? The pain that we cannot see but that seems to consume our soul affects our thoughts and feelings in ways that we often cannot explain. It is not just physical pain, but pain that goes far beyond the body. Emotional, mental, and spiritual pain. Something that makes us feel fragile, lost, and aimless, even when the world around us seems to continue its relentless pace. Maybe this pain is silent. Maybe you haven't yet realized the impact it has on your life. But the reality is that at some point, we all face some form of pain that challenges us to look within ourselves. And it is at this point that the search for a cure becomes a necessary journey. Because despite advances in medicine, true healing is not just about treating the body, but about restoring complete balance between the body, mind, and spirit. In the modern world, where physical illnesses are treated with scientific precision, we often forget that the spirit also needs healing. And the wisdom we need for this restoration has already been passed down from generation to generation through powerful words that come from ancient times, but that still resonate powerfully in our day. We know that behind so many traditions and teachings, there is something profound that goes beyond human understanding. These are the words that help us. Today, we'll explore 8 powerful proverbs that not only speak wisdom, but also have the power to heal. Cure illnesses that go beyond the physical. Heal the emotional and spiritual wounds that we often ignore, but which are as harmful as any illness. These proverbs offer us a key to true healing, a healing that starts from within and spreads to every aspect of our lives. Words that, if applied correctly, can restore our mental health in... Let's look at the book of Proverbs, which contains these profound teachings, written with the wisdom of people who were deeply connected to human and divine reality. In ancient times, there were no doctors as we know them today, but there was divine wisdom that offered healing. These proverbs are much more than simple advice. They are universal principles that span the centuries, touching fundamental human needs. The cure didn't come from treatments or potions, but from the way... The purpose of this video is not just to understand the proverbs, but to see how they can be applied in our everyday lives. How these words can help restore our spirit, bring peace to our mind, and even alleviate suffering in the body. It is not just an immediate physical cure, but a deep healing process, which is reflected in our way of living, thinking, and acting. Now, imagine if you could find a way to deal with life's pains, daily challenges, and illnesses in a way that was more than superficial. Imagine if you could use these proverbs as transformational tools to completely heal yourself, not just on the outside, but also on the inside. That's what we're going to find out here. These 8 proverbs we will explore have something in common. They are simple and direct, yet profound and transformative, answers to many of the questions we face today. They offer profound wisdom that can restore our health in a holistic way. And throughout this video, we'll take a deep dive into each of these proverbs, reflecting on their meaning, their practical application, and how they can help us live a more balanced, healthy, and healed life. Get ready to hear and apply these powerful words to your life. If you are seeking healing for your physical, emotional, or spiritual illnesses, these proverbs can be the beginning of a journey of transformation. What you're about to hear may not be a magic bullet, but it could be the key to beginning the healing you so desperately need. In ancient times, wisdom was passed down from generation to generation, not just through books, but through words spoken from the heart. The book of Proverbs, which belongs to the Old Testament, presents us with a collection of profound teachings that, although dating back thousands of years, continue to resonate with power in our day. The wisdom of Solomon, considered one of the greatest minds in all of biblical history, has a unique character. He, the son of King David, ruled the kingdom of Israel Solomon, as a righteous and revered ruler, was chosen by God to lead the people of Israel at a crucial moment in history. When asked by God about what he wanted, Solomon asked for wisdom to govern well, and it was precisely this request that made him known as the wisest man who ever lived. He understood the importance of discerning not just between right and wrong, but between what is truly valuable to human well-being. But beyond the political and social issues he faced, Solomon also knew that the human being is a multifaceted being with needs that transcend the physical. He knew that for human beings to prosper fully, they needed complete health, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The Proverbs he wrote are not just practical advice, but also profound reflections on human nature and how to live in harmony with God, self, and others. The culture of Israel at that time deeply valued wisdom. Words were seen as a powerful means of transforming realities. When we talk about wisdom, we are not just referring to what we know intellectually, but to the wisdom that is capable of transforming the heart and mind, bringing peace and harmony to all aspects of life. In Solomon's day, wisdom was not just theoretical, but was applied daily in people's lives, from the way they relate to others. And it is with this perspective of practical and spiritual wisdom that we must understand Solomon's Proverbs. They show us how to deal with suffering, with life's difficulties, and how to find divine solutions to problems that afflict us, often invisibly. Through these words, we can learn how, by following certain divine principles, we can find not just relief from pain, but deep healing that restores us. Imagine for a moment, what if every proverb was a key to opening a healing door into your life? What if by applying these words to your routine, you could feel relief not only from your physical pain, but also from your emotional and spiritual pain? These proverbs are not just ancient advice. They are practical guidelines for living in a fuller, healthier, and more balanced way. For example, in a world where anxiety and stress dominate, how can we cultivate the peace that transcends understanding? How can we achieve an internal balance that allows us to deal with life's challenges in a more serene way? The answer may be in one word, in a proverb that Solomon shared with us. The answers to life's deepest questions are often simpler than we imagine. Therefore, in the next Proverbs, we need to understand that each of them is a reflection of deep and accessible wisdom. They are not just words in an old book. They are seeds that, when planted in our hearts, can grow and transform us. They help us look inside ourselves and see where we need healing, where we need restoration. Therefore, before we continue with the next Proverbs, I invite you to reflect. What have you done to seek healing in your life? Have you allowed yourself to apply divine wisdom in your daily life? How can you begin to use these powerful words in practical ways to bring more harmony and healing into your life, your relationships, and your health? Now let's move forward and start exploring the first Proverbs that have the power to heal. Not just soothe, but to transform. These Proverbs are not just a source of advice, but medicine for the soul, heart, and body. Let's begin our journey with the first of these Proverbs, which brings one of the most powerful lessons about peace we can have amidst the chaos of life. A gentle word calms wrath. Proverbs 15:1. This is one of the most powerful lessons we can learn to heal our souls. In a world where emotions run high, where stress and anxiety overwhelm us, this proverb reminds us of the importance of cultivating calm and kindness, especially in times of conflict. Instead of responding with anger or impatience, we can, through a gentle word, not only appease the other, but also bring peace within ourselves. It's fascinating to realize the power our words have. We often don't think about the consequences of what we say, but words have a profound impact, both on those who receive them and on those who speak them. When we speak kindly, we can reduce tension in the environment, and in doing so, promote healing in our relationships. However, harsh and impulsive words can provoke intense reactions, which only fuel discord and suffering. This proverb challenges us to reflect on the impact of our words, not only in relationships with others, but also within ourselves. If we are able to master our anger and respond calmly, we can also learn to calm the internal storms that afflict us. A peaceful heart generates a healthy body, and the practice of cultivating serenity in daily situations can be the key to a more balanced life. It sounds simple, but in practice, living according to this principle is a huge challenge. In a world that values quick reaction and spontaneous expression of emotions, being able to respond with a gentle word requires self-control and patience, However, this self-control is not something that should be forced or strictly imposed. It is the result of inner wisdom, which is born from the understanding that every word spoken has an effect on ourselves and others. The impact of words goes beyond what we see. There is an energy behind every word we speak, and that energy can heal or destroy. When we speak kindly, we not only help others, but we also create a healing environment around ourselves. Gentle words are like balms that soften hardened hearts, heal emotional wounds, and restore peace. In an era where communication is increasingly digitalized and often devoid of empathy, the proverb reminds us of the importance of connecting with the essence of our humanity. Instead of reacting impulsively or seeking victory in an argument, we can learn to use our words to restore, to heal, to promote harmony. This does not mean that we should be passive or accept everything without question, but that we can cultivate a more balanced and wise response. This principle also applies to the words we speak to ourselves. How many times, when faced with a mistake or failure, are we cruel to our own hearts? Severe self-criticism and the harsh words we use towards ourselves have the power to hurt us deeply. However, if we can speak gently and compassionately within ourselves, creating an internal environment of peace, emotional wounds will begin to heal. What we say to ourselves directly influences our mental and physical health. The gentle word is not an immediate solution to all our problems, but it is a path to gradual healing. If we want to live fully, we must start with what we say, both to others and to ourselves. And as we cultivate this practice, we will see transformation not only in our relationships, but also in our physical and emotional well-being. In a world so full of noise, the soft word becomes a silent but powerful revolution. How have you been dealing with words in your daily life? Could it be that, instead of reacting impatiently, can we be wiser and choose calm, transforming conflict situations into moments of peace? And most importantly, how have we treated our own hearts? Healing begins in the mind and spirit, and when we can speak softly, we have the power to heal ourselves and the world around us. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire granted is a tree of life. Proverbs 13:12. This proverb speaks directly about the importance of hope in our lives and how it influences our mental and emotional health. Hope is a vital element for our existence. When we lack hope, when what we hope for never seems to come true, we begin to experience a type of pain that goes beyond the physical. The heart becomes heavy, the strength is exhausted, and sometimes the spirit is broken. It's as if we are carrying an invisible burden that, although it doesn't appear, affects us deeply. We have all gone through moments when we feel that our expectations are not met, that our dreams are being postponed, or even that everything around us is in a cycle of frustration. This creates an emotional void that is often reflected in our body. Unfulfilled hope can cause deep discouragement, as if we were waiting for something that never arrives. This state can lead to a feeling of hopelessness, which is, without a doubt, one of the greatest sources of suffering in our lives. When our desire is granted, when we finally achieve what we have longed for, the reward is more than simple momentary pleasure. She is a tree of life, as the text tells us. The realization of our dreams brings a rebirth, a renewal of strength, a restoration of physical and spiritual vigor. Hope fulfilled becomes an elixir of life, a source of healing that invigorates our soul, strengthening us for the challenges that are yet to come. But how can we deal with frustration when hope seems distant? How can we keep our hearts alive when everything we most desire seems out of reach? The answer lies in how we deal with the process. True hope depends not just on what we see or what we achieve, but on trusting that what we need will be provided at the right time. This does not mean that we should give up on our desires, but that we need to cultivate a long-term vision where time and process are part of the healing. When we manage to keep hope alive, even in the most difficult times, we create within ourselves an environment conducive to healing. Hope that is not based on external circumstances, but that comes from unshakable faith, has the power to restore our mind, body, and spirit. This type of hope allows us to see beyond the difficulties of the present moment and gives us the ability to maintain the energy and focus needed to continue our journey. Imagine then that you have a little plant inside you, representing your hope. If you feed this little plant with positive thoughts, with faith and trust, it will grow and become a strong, fruitful tree, full of life. But if you neglect it, allowing fear and doubt to dominate your heart, this little plant will wither and dry up. Hope needs to be cultivated, protected, and above all, kept alive, so that healing can happen from the inside out. Frustration and disappointment, although natural, should not be the end of the story. They are just one chapter. What really matters is how we choose to react to these situations. We can allow pain to destroy us, or we can use the wisdom we find in Proverbs to turn every pain into an opportunity for growth. The key is to maintain our vision, to believe that the fulfilled desire is within our reach, even if we don't see it yet. On this path, patience is essential. We may not see immediate results, but that doesn't mean healing isn't happening. As we cultivate solid, grounded hope, we find that our lives begin to align more fully as we know that what we desire will be met in perfect time. And throughout this journey, our emotional and spiritual health is restored as we are able to withstand adversity with a vision of the future that brings us peace and strength. Healing often does not come from the absence of problems, but from the way we deal with them. And an essential part of this process is keeping hope alive, knowing that what awaits us is a tree of life, full of fruits that restore us and bring us a new breath of life. The mouth of the righteous is a source of life. Proverbs 10:11. When we read this proverb, we are immediately invited to reflect on the power of words. It's no wonder that in many cultures around the world, words are considered powerful, capable of healing or hurting, of building up or tearing down. The truth is that what we say has the power to shape our reality. The word is, in fact, a creative tool. It can build bridges or raise walls. It can comfort or hurt. When the proverb says that the mouth of the righteous is a source of life, it calls us to think about the kind of words we are offering to the world and around us. The righteous person does not speak just to express their opinion, but their words flow from a place of wisdom, balance, and discernment. He knows that words can be a balm for the invisible wounds that others carry. A kind word at the right time can transform the course of a difficult day, offer comfort to those suffering, and even heal emotional wounds that are not visible at first glance. The word of the righteous is not just beautiful or empty speech, she carries with her truth and kindness. This proverb teaches us that true justice lies in the words we speak, because when we speak truthfully and honestly, with compassion and love, our speech becomes a vehicle of healing, something that goes beyond the superficiality of everyday communication. Through our words, we can bring life and light to others, repairing relationships, healing broken hearts, and offering hope where it seems scarce. Now imagine how this might apply in our own context. How many times do we have the opportunity to say words that can transform a situation, a relationship, or even our own perception of the world? When we speak wisely, our words have the power to heal and transform not only the environment around us, but also ourselves. And by sharing this wisdom, we can restore peace and harmony, both in our hearts and in those with whom we live. However, the proverb also warns us about words that come from an impure heart. The mouth of someone who does not seek truth or goodness can become a source of destruction. When we speak without care, without empathy, or without love, we can cause harm that is as profound as the most serious physical injuries. Wisdom is, therefore, not only in what we say, but also in the intention and heart with which we pronounce these words. True healing, therefore, begins with awareness of the power our words have. We must be more attentive to what we say and how we say it, because words, when they leave our mouths, have the ability to create or destroy, to heal or hurt. Solomon's proverb invites us to be those whose words flow like fountains of life, spreading kindness, encouragement, and faith. This principle can be applied not only in interactions with others, but also in our internal dialogue. How often are we cruel to ourselves? How many times do our internal words sabotage us and prevent us from living fully? The way we speak to each other can determine our emotional and mental health. If we speak with compassion and encouragement within ourselves, we can heal the wounds we carry, rebuilding our self-esteem and confidence. Therefore, as we reflect on this proverb, we can begin to cultivate a daily practice of choosing words that bring life. This does not mean that we should ignore reality or pretend that everything is fine, but that by speaking up, we can seek a path to healing rather than perpetuating the cycle of pain and destruction. How can you use your words more constructively, both for others and for yourself? How can you make your words a true source of life? Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18. This proverb is one of the most powerful keys to our healing journey. Vision does not just refer to what we see with our physical eyes, but to our ability to see beyond our circumstances, to project a future, and to keep our mind and spirit focused on something greater. Vision is the light that guides us in the midst of darkness, the compass that guides us when we are lost. When we don't have a clear vision, we become like a boat adrift, being carried by the waves, aimless, without purpose. Imagine for a moment a ship on the high seas. Without a map, without a guiding star, he has no way of finding his way. This is life without vision. A lack of vision leads us to live in a reactive way, without clear direction. Our steps become uncertain, and life seems like a sequence of coincidences without a common thread. And it is at this point that the proverb becomes relevant. Where there is no vision, the people perish. A lack of vision not only impedes progress, but can even lead to discouragement, loss of hope, and a lack of purpose. Vision is more than a simple goal or desire. It is a vital force that drives us forward. In difficult times, vision is what keeps us moving, gives us the courage to continue, even when obstacles seem insurmountable. She reminds us that, no matter how arduous the path may be, there is a purpose to be fulfilled. There is something greater that awaits us. Without this vision, the human spirit loses motivation and begins to wither. Healing, therefore, begins when we find our vision. And it is not just a mundane or material vision, but a profound vision which connects our existence to something greater than ourselves. In times of adversity, it is easy to lose sight. When difficulties seem immense, we can feel lost, without hope. However, it is exactly at this moment that we must stop, breathe, and reevaluate. The vision we need is not one of an easy path, but one of a meaningful journey. The vision that brings us healing is the one that helps us see the meaning behind challenges, that allows us to realize that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. When we begin to see difficulties from a new perspective, we begin to transform them. What seemed like a burden becomes a step towards achieving something greater. Now, it is important to understand that vision is not something that appears overnight. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be fed by hope, faith, and perseverance. We cannot expect to find our vision without effort. Just like a tree needs care and nourishment to grow strong, our vision also needs to be constantly nurtured. This means being aware of the signs around us, listening to the wisdom of others, and most of all, listening to our own soul. Vision comes from the ability to listen to the inner voice that guides us, even when the path seems uncertain. As we restore our vision, we begin to see life with new eyes. Difficulties do not disappear, but our ability to face them becomes stronger. Healing happens when we are able to look at life in a broader, deeper way. When vision is renewed, everything around us also transforms. Our relationships, our choices, and even our health begin to reflect this new vision. Therefore, as we look to the future, we must pause and ask ourselves, what is the vision we are pursuing? Is it aligned with what is really important for our life and our purpose? Are we willing to let go of old beliefs that limit our vision? When we find our true vision, a new energy arises within us, an energy that brings healing, strength, and direction. And from that moment on, the journey will no longer be a burden, but a journey illuminated by a clear vision of what really matters. The wise is he who hears. Proverbs 1:5. In a time of constant noise and pressure, where opinions are many and distractions are countless, this proverb invites us to deeply reflect on true wisdom. Wisdom is not just about knowing what to do, but about being able to listen. The wise person is not the one who talks incessantly or who always has a ready answer, but the one who can listen, learn, and understand. Listening is an act of humility, of recognizing that we don't know everything, and that often it is in silence and listening that we find the answers. In modern life, we are bombarded by a multitude of information at every moment. Technology, with its instant access to news and opinions, often prevents us from stopping and reflecting. We become so focused on what we are doing and saying that we forget the importance of listening. But, as the proverb teaches us, it is through listening that we find true wisdom. By listening carefully, we can better understand ourselves and others, and it is this understanding that brings healing. Listening goes beyond simply hearing words. True listening involves empathy, engagement, and the ability to understand the context, emotions, and intentions behind the words. It is a practice that requires time, patience, and dedication. When we can truly listen, we are able to form deeper connections, not only with others, but also with ourselves. By listening to our own emotions, our thoughts, and our needs, we can identify what we need to heal the internal wounds that we often ignore. This proverb also teaches us that by listening carefully to others, we can learn valuable lessons that help us grow and overcome challenges. How many times, by genuinely listening to someone, are we able to better understand their pain, their joy, and most importantly, their needs? And in doing so, we get closer to people and create an environment of healing and mutual understanding. The wisdom that comes from listening is the wisdom that builds bridges, that brings peace, and that restores what was lost. In a world where everyone wants to speak and express their opinions, listening seems to be a forgotten skill. But it is through silence and active listening that true wisdom reveals itself. When we stop to listen, we give space for others to express themselves, but also for ourselves to reflect on what really matters. True healing comes from the ability to listen to others and to listen to ourselves, to recognize our faults, and to constantly seek understanding. Listening is not just a relational skill, but an essential skill for our mental and emotional health. When we listen carefully, we create an environment of respect and acceptance. This reduces stress, improves communication, and creates deeper connections. The practice of active listening is, therefore, a powerful tool for healing, both on a personal level and in our relationships with others. When listening, we are not just collecting information, we are nourishing the spirit and soul with the wisdom that comes from empathy and understanding. On the healing journey, listening is an essential step. Listening with the heart, with the ears of the soul, allows us to perceive truths that are often hidden. How have you practiced listening in your life? Have you allowed yourself to listen to what others have to say, or are you more focused on being heard? And most importantly, have you given yourself space to listen to yourself, your pain, your needs, and your dreams? The wise person is the one who listens, because it is through listening that we find the key to true transformation. And by listening, we begin to heal what is silent within us, allowing peace and wisdom to flow into our lives. The Lord is for those who have a broken spirit. Proverbs 16:19. This proverb speaks to an essential aspect of the human experience, the moment we feel broken. Life, in its various phases, often takes us to the limit. Challenges, losses, disappointments, and failures affect us in ways that leave deep marks. In these moments, the spirit can seem broken, as if there is no more strength to continue. However, this verse reminds us that in our most fragile moment, we find an open door to healing. It's interesting to think that in many cultures and religions, the idea of being broken is not seen as something entirely negative, but as an opportunity for renewal. The proverb teaches us that when we feel broken, we are closer to true healing. Why? Because brokenness takes us to a state of humility, where we open ourselves to something bigger than ourselves. In our brokenness, we are most receptive to divine grace and healing. This idea is deeply spiritual. Breaking is not the end, but the beginning of something new. When our hearts are broken, the barriers we have built over time begin to break down, and we are better able to feel God's compassion, grace, and love. The broken spirit is not the one who is lost and without hope, but the one who, recognizing his vulnerability, finds the strength to rise again, renewed and transformed. We often try to hide our weaknesses. We live in a society that values strength, the appearance of invulnerability. We are taught to be resilient, to move forward regardless of challenges. But true resilience, true strength, comes from recognizing our humanity. We are breakable beings, but in our brokenness, we can find true healing. Brokenness is not a failure, but a part of the healing process that brings us closer to what really matters, our connection to God and others. This verse also teaches us that God is present in the most difficult moments, especially when we are fragile. Pain often pushes us away and makes us question our faith, but it is precisely in moments of greatest suffering that He comes closest, offering comfort and healing. The Lord draws near to those who have a broken spirit, not to judge or punish, but to restore and renew. In our suffering, we find a sacred space to receive His presence. This is the beauty of spiritual healing. It begins when we admit our brokenness and allow divine strength to envelop us. When we are broken, our ability to open ourselves to grace is greater. God does not reject the broken. He welcomes them, heals them, and transforms them. And this healing goes beyond the mind and emotions. It is reflected in the body, bringing a deep relief that can only come from the divine presence. So healing is not just about removing pain, but about transforming pain into something that uplifts us. A broken spirit is one who, by recognizing his limitations, becomes capable of receiving blessings that he could not accept before. By going through this restoration process, we are renewed from the inside out. There is no healing without vulnerability. The first step to healing is being willing to be fragile, to admit that we need help, that we can't do everything alone. So, as you reflect on this proverb, I invite you to think about your moments of brokenness. How have you dealt with your weaknesses and pains? Have you allowed yourself to open your heart to divine healing? Or have you tried to go it alone without recognizing your need for help? Remember, in your broken spirit, you find the presence of God, and with it, true healing. Open yourself to this healing. Allow it to come into your life and transform what is broken into something new and full of hope. The heart that despises correction never prospers, but whoever listens to reproof grows in wisdom. Proverbs 15:32. This proverb is a key to inner healing, as it teaches us the importance of humility, self-criticism, and a willingness to learn. In life, no one is immune to mistakes or failures, but the way we react to them can determine our growth and, consequently, our healing. The true path to transformation is not in denying failures, but in the willingness to recognize them and learn from them. The first lesson here is clear. Rejection of correction is the obstacle to our development. When someone refuses to listen to constructive criticism, to accept that they need to improve or change, they are actually closing themselves off from the process of healing and growth. Rejection of correction is often motivated by pride, insecurity, or the belief that we are good enough. But when we are unable to listen, when we close our hearts to correction, we are actually hindering our own healing. Healing begins when we make space for learning, when we accept that, even in mistakes, there is an opportunity for growth. Criticism is often seen negatively, especially in a society that values both image and appearance. There is a tendency to move away from the idea of failing, making mistakes, or being corrected, as if this were an affront to our personal value. However, the true value lies in the ability to recognize our limitations and continually seek to improve. Rebuke that comes from a place of wisdom, love, and compassion is actually a source of healing. When we accept correction with an open spirit, we are allowing our souls to be restored, our attitudes to be shaped, and our healing journey to be complete. This proverb also touches on the heart of healthy self-criticism. Healing is not only an external process, but also an internal one. To heal our wounds, we need to look inside ourselves and question our attitudes, choices, and behaviors. This can be uncomfortable, often even painful, but it is the only way to truly grow. The ability to reflect on our own mistakes and learn from them is one of the most powerful skills for personal transformation. When we are not afraid to examine our own hearts and minds, we are better able to mend our ways and move forward in a wiser, more balanced way. On the other hand, when we ignore the signs that we need change, when we close ourselves off to constructive criticism, we end up becoming hostages to our own failures. Emotional wounds, unresolved errors, and limiting beliefs accumulate, preventing us from moving forward. Healing is only possible when we are willing to face those blind spots, those parts of ourselves that we don't like to see. And it is in this moment of vulnerability that true healing begins, when we allow ourselves to be corrected, when we open our eyes to what we need to change. This also applies to our relationships. Often, the criticism we receive comes from people close to us, who care about us and want to help us grow. Instead of seeing criticism as an attack, we should see it as an invitation to healing and maturity. When we accept correction from those who love us, we recognize that we are all constantly evolving beings, and that healing often comes from relationships that challenge us to be better. Thus, criticism is not something we should fear, but something we should embrace with humility and gratitude. In many cases, the emotional pain we carry is a result of our resistance to this correction. When we don't allow the wisdom of others to reach us, when we refuse to see our own need for change, we continue to live with these open wounds. Healing begins with acceptance, with the understanding that we are all in the process of growth. Accepting correction, whether internal or external, is the first step towards true transformation. This frees us from the prison of the ego, from resistance to change, and opens us to new possibilities of healing and maturation. This proverb also teaches us that healing is not a quick or easy process. Growing in wisdom, humility, and understanding takes time. This is not an immediate solution, but a daily commitment to our own growth. With each correction accepted, with each lesson learned, we take a step towards our inner healing. And as we become wiser, more humble, and more receptive to necessary changes, our lives begin to reflect that transformation. Our heart becomes lighter, our attitudes more balanced, and our spirit more open to what life has to offer. Thus, true healing does not come from denial or escape, but from acceptance, reflection, and continued growth. The pain we feel when corrected is temporary, but the growth it generates is lasting. When we allow ourselves to be shaped by wisdom, our soul is purified, and our healing journey becomes deeper and truer. The wise man is the one who listens, who learns, and who grows, and in doing so, he becomes not only stronger, but also more healed and at peace with himself. Like cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from distant lands. Proverbs 25:25. This proverb brings one of the most powerful metaphors about the impact of hope and renewal. When we are tired, when the weight of life seems unbearable, good news has the power to invigorate our soul in the same way that cold water refreshes an exhausted body. We live in a world where emotional burdens often overwhelm us, where negative news seems to dominate all the time. But just as a sip of cold water can restore our physical energy, the good news, those messages of hope, healing, and joy, have the power to restore our inner peace and give us strength to move forward. When life challenges us and the struggle seems endless, it's easy to lose hope. Mental and emotional fatigue can make us think that there is no way out, that things will never improve. But just as the tired body longs for water to keep going, the tired soul also longs for good news. Good news is news that brings perspective, renews faith, and reminds us that even in difficult times, there is still beauty, goodness, and hope in the world. They have the power to restore our energy, to remind us of the purpose of our journey, and to light the flame of hope that can sometimes be extinguished in the face of difficulties. This idea of good news is not just limited to external news or events happening around us. The good news begins within us when we are able to look at our lives with a new look, with a new perspective. They begin when we can see beyond the obstacles and see the possibilities that still exist. When the soul is tired, the tendency is to focus on difficulties and problems, but we need to look for the good news within ourselves. We need to connect with what really matters and what still brings us joy, gratitude, and love. It is these moments of connection with what is good that invigorate the spirit and give us strength to continue. This proverb challenges us to be bearers of the good news. In a world where bad news dominates, we have a responsibility to spread hope and encouragement. The good news doesn't have to be something grand or extraordinary. Sometimes a kind word, a gesture of kindness, or a simple show of support can be what someone needs to feel the relief their tired soul craves. How can we be messengers of good news in the lives of others? How can we bring relief and hope to those who are facing their own struggles? Instead of being sources of more darkness, we can be sources of light and healing, offering good news in a world that is so often mired in sadness and hopelessness. This proverb also invites us to reflect on the power of renewal. The soul, like the body, needs moments of rest and restoration. Life often demands more of us than we can give, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. However, healing and restoration come when we are able to make space for the good news, for renewal and a fresh start. Each day brings with it a new opportunity to start over, to look at life with new eyes, and to embrace the possibilities that await us. The good news is not just about events happening in the world, but about the way we choose to see the world and the opportunities we choose to create. They come from our ability, even in the midst of tiredness, to lift our heads, take a deep breath, and remember that there is always something good in front of us. In moments of discouragement, the tired soul needs to find this renewal. It needs to find the cold water that invigorates it. This water can come in the form of good news, a message of hope, or an internal discovery of something that brings us peace. What prevents us from experiencing this renewal is often our limited vision, our focus on difficulties rather than solutions. And therefore, true healing begins when we are able to change our perspective, when we are able to look at our life in a broader way and realize that, even in difficulties, there is always something that can renew us, that can restore us. This process of healing and renewal is also deeply linked to our faith. The good news is not just external news, but a truth that comes from within, that connects us with something greater than ourselves. The good news comes from God, who is the source of all healing and renewal. He offers the water that quenches our tired souls. He offers the peace that surpasses human understanding, and he reminds us that, no matter how difficult the circumstances, there is always a greater purpose in everything we experience. When we open ourselves to this truth, our souls begin to restore themselves. When we stop looking at the difficulties and start looking at the good news he offers, our perspective is transformed, and our healing becomes an ongoing and profound process. So the good news is not just about what happens around us, but about how we connect with the world and with divine truth. They remind us that healing is within our reach, even in our darkest hours, and that with each new day we can be renewed, we can experience restoration, and we can find the relief our souls so desperately need. The good news is the cold water that quenches the thirst of a tired soul. It is the balm that heals invisible wounds, and it is the light that guides our steps, even in moments of darkness. So when we feel overwhelmed, when life seems difficult and directionless, we must remember that the good news is always available to us. They can be found in small gestures of kindness, in the words of encouragement we receive, in the faith that sustains us, and in the connection with what really matters. As we seek this good news, we allow ourselves to be healed, renewed, and restored. We reach the end of our journey through 8 powerful proverbs that have the potential to cure any illness, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual. What have we learned along this path? That true healing is not just about medicine or treatments, but about wisdom, reflection, and practical application of the lessons that life offers us. The proverbs we explore together are not just words in an ancient book, but powerful tools for transforming our lives, bringing peace, balance, and, most importantly, healing. With each proverb, we discover a key that opens doors to inner healing. As we have seen, the gentle word that calms the wrath, the hope that renews the heart, the trust in God that brings peace, and the vision that guides us in difficult times. The wisdom found in these proverbs is not far from us. It is within our reach, ready to be applied in our daily lives. As we incorporate these principles into our lives, we begin to notice profound changes within ourselves. Healing is not a quick process, but rather a continuous path that requires effort but brings transformative results. And most importantly, healing begins within us. It begins when we are able to look at our lives more wisely, to accept our mistakes, to recognize our wounds, and most importantly, to take the first step towards restoration. Through humility, trust, and a willingness to change, we can access the transformative power of these proverbs and let them heal us from the inside out. Now, as we reflect on everything we have learned, it is important to remember that these proverbs are more than just advice. They are divine principles that guide us towards total healing. If you are feeling lost, tired, or broken, remember, wisdom is within your reach, and the good news of healing and renewal is waiting for you. It's never too late to start applying these teachings to your life and start seeing the changes you so desperately need. And as we move forward, remember that healing is also a collective journey. We can support each other, share wisdom, and help each other heal. We are not alone in this process. We are all part of a greater journey, which leads us to complete healing. Now, we would like to hear from you. Which proverb touched your heart the most? How will you apply these words of wisdom in your life? Leave it in the comments below and share your reflections and insights with us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications to receive more inspiring content. Don't miss the next video, where we will continue exploring deep themes that can transform your life. We are together on this journey of healing and transformation.